Hi, welcome. My name is William Zedi. In the last few weeks, I've figured out a way to help people suffocating with debt to become debt free using a 5-step, often ignored formula and a potent technique kids use to get what they want most of the time. And all this without any more money or getting help from a debt consolidator or even a debt counselor. Let me tell you a story of how the whole thing began. It was actually a very simple story. Sometime in August 2019, I called my brother on his cell phone, and unfortunately, I didn't find him. His phone took me to voicemail. I tried the alternate number, and still I couldn't find him. Well, I gave up. Later in the day, fortunately, he called my mother. They spoke, and after I even learned about this conversation between my mother and my brother, I asked my mother to give me the numbers that my brother used when he called him. Surprisingly, I found that he used a different number, a totally different number from the first two that I was familiar with. And well, the following day, I called my brother on his new number. Luckily, he answered the phone. After having chatted a few minutes, I asked him, or I told him rather, that I called the previous day about 2 times with no luck. Then he spilled the beans. He told me that he is not using those 2 cell phone numbers that I tried to call on the previous day. He's using a new number. I asked why. He said to me, "Now it's because he owes 88 rands that he had borrowed from the network provider. So he's afraid, apparently, that if he loads new airtime on any of those SIM cards, the network provider is going to take their money." I was shocked a little bit, but not too much concerned, because it's just 88 rands. But then, as I said, a thought came to my mind that this debt thing, because personally I've been in debt. I know what it feels like to be in debt. So a thought just came to me that just go and find out. Just go and find out, the story about this debt, in as far as people are concerned here in South Africa. So I decided to find out how serious this debt issue is here in South Africa, and also how could a person free themselves from its deadly effects. What I discovered shocked me. It really shocked me. For example, I found that at the end of March 2019, the National Credit Regulator, NCR, disclosed that a monstrous 25.7 million consumers have some form of credit. That is, 25.7 million consumers have some form of credit. And when I looked at the numbers, they told me almost this number represents almost 44% of the South African population. Just imagine. That means if you meet 100 people in South Africa, about 44 of them will be in debt. And I'm not talking just small debts. I'm talking about the debt that you get from financial institutions, usually these big guys, banks, loan companies, etc., etc. I also discovered that there are 10.15 million consumers. That is 39.5% of the total people with credits. 10.15 million of them have got impaired credit records. What does that mean? It means these people are likely to be blocked from getting any new credit with banks and any other financial institutions. And this number was the highest ever since September 2015. I also found the number of impaired accounts was 21.53 million. That means these accounts are in arrears. They are behind by 3 months or more. 21.53 million. My digging also landed me on a report called the Consumer Credit Market Report. And in this report, I discovered that 10.75 million new applications for credit were received by financial institutions in the quarter that ended in March 2019. 10.75 million people wanted credit. And shockingly, 55.84% of these, which is just over 6 million applications, were rejected. That means financial institutions said, we cannot offer you credit. Unfortunately, the report didn't mention what the reasons were, so I'm not going to speculate. Clearly, as consumers, we like credit, or we seem to like it, isn't it? But we also have serious challenges when we have to pay it back. Why is it a struggle to deal with debt? I'm sure you've asked yourself that question a number of times. I believe part of the problem is that the financial institutions are the same ones who give us advice on our financial matters. They give us credit. They, give us the opportunity to go into debt, and they come back, they advise us on how to deal with, our debt situation. Do you think they really can advise us to totally become debt free? Think about it. I doubt. I doubt, because extending credit to us is one of the most profitable ways these banks, these financial institutions make money from us. So their advice is likely to keep us dependent on them. And I believe this is deadly to us. I believe the financial system we live with enjoys keeping us in debt. Otherwise, following their advice should be, helping us become free. And by the numbers that we saw, clearly this advice isn't helping much. For this reason, debt has really become the new tool for slavery, replacing the ancient slavery of back-breaking work. The only difference is that debt is more insidious. It attacks us without us noticing. It kills us slowly. That's why we tend to realize its effects on us very late. We see its deadly effect when we become so stressed or even depressed because we can't meet our financial obligations, such as paying for our cars, houses, furniture, credit cards, personal loans, you name it. And our creditors come guns blazing and even threatening us with blackmailing us, reporting us at credit bureaus, taking our property from us, and a whole lot of other things. And I thought our government will help, will protect us, only to discover I was completely wrong. For example, I found this statement in one of the South African Reserve Bank's quarterly bulletins. Actually, it was in the March 2019 bulletin. This is what the statement said. A sustained improvement in consumer demand and business confidence is needed to boost corporate demand for credit. For me, the key words here are sustained improvement in consumer demand. It means as consumers, according to the government, as consumers, we should keep wanting to consume, buying big cars, buying big houses, buying nice clothes, those nice shoes, shirts, and skirts and jeans, and you name it, jewelry, etc., etc. And when we do so, businesses now, because they'll be having to meet a larger demand caused by us wanting more of the services and products, businesses will run to to institutions like banks and other financial institutions to demand for credit. And that way, I guess that's how our government would want things to work out. The South African Reserve Bank continued and said, encouragingly, credit extension to the household sector inched higher from 3.7% in January 2018 to 5.7% in December of 2019, and grew by 4.6% on average in 2018 compared to only 2.6% in 2017 and 2.3% in 2016. You can see these averages. They kind of indicate that corporate credit extension, the demand for credit has been increasing at least since 2016, as far as these numbers are telling us. But for me, the big word here is the word encouragingly. It tells me when the household, the family asks for more credit, it's encouraging. Well, perhaps it is encouraging from the government points of view, but is it encouraging for us as as families, as consumers? I doubt. But this makes sense, this this story of us taking more credit as suggested by the South African Reserve Bank, because as consumers we contribute approximately 60% of the country's economic size, and you can go and find this on the South African Marketing Indicators website. There is the URL. In there, you're going to find this statement. It says, in this update, we take a look at household consumption expenditure, which forms a large part of South Africa's economy, with household spending making up roughly 60% of the total economic size of South Africa. There you are. Approximately 60% of the economy of South Africa depends on us as consumers. In fact, it depends on how much we are consuming. Meaning, the more we consume, the more the country will make more money. It is not surprising to me that obviously government will want us to spend more, because when we spend more, the government will get more money for its programs. I'm not sure about these programs though, how profitable they are for you and me. Now, the big question is, if the banks and other financial institutions are not necessarily for us, and the government is not for us, who then is looking after us? I think the answer to that question is actually simple. Each one of us must look after himself or herself. Each one of us must look after himself or herself. And to do that, we need the right information, knowledge, and skills. And in the next few videos, I'll share information and knowledge that will help you take charge of your debts and become debt-free. Of course, if you want. If you don't want, this information won't help you. The first piece of information that I'm going to share with you will focus on the timeless formula to get out of debt fast. Now, if you like this video, please share it with your loved ones, like friends, family, and colleagues. Until next time, have a wonderful day.